finishing off the early prelims for UFC 272 is Brian Kelleher versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, why I think this is a terrible fight for Brian Kelleher is, we know those big hooks. We know that the power carries for 3 rounds. We know the guillotine chokes are there. But it's like, what does Umar do so well? And of all the Nurmagomedovs that we've, come to love and watch, the striking is so nice to watch. And for me, it's the kicks. I really do think that the way he uses length in his fights is going to be what makes him, really stand apart. Because you notice the Makhachevs and even the Khabibs of the world, they really like to push forward. They really like to get in there close and do some of that boxing and then just completely smother you. Whereas you watch Umar, he's got that flow to him. He's got those nice kicks, and I really like to see that from him. He's almost like a Nurmagomedov 2.0 when you really watch him fight. I don't know what it is about his striking, but it looks just a little bit more, crisp and advanced than some of his, teammates, and I really do enjoy watching it. But again, we're going to be able to see what he does as the levels move up. But you talk about tough debuts. I mean, I think Morozov is a very tough debut, and you saw the way he was able to continuously push the pace, find ways to land big shots. In Morozov, the chin, despite it being relatively questionable, I mean, he finds ways to stay in fights, and I think it took him like almost under 2 minutes to finish that fight in the 3rd round, but he was completely dominating. And like I said, man, the striking was gorgeous to the point where he was getting very, it was common for him to get him a little stumbled. And then the ground game, that's where you just see the Nurmagomedov, generational things come through. And that's what I just love about his game is the striking looks so good. I don't know how many times I said that. So you talk about the areas where a guy like Brian Kelleher, who's going to be speedy, who's going to have nice boxing, footwork, those kinds of things, he's going to have to find areas where he's able to capitalize, right? Maybe kick out the legs a little bit. See how much he's, how heavy does he stand on those legs? Find those big hooks. Maybe attack the body a little bit because Umar's going to fight long. And I think that's where Brian has to get in a bit close. If maybe he wants to make it a bit more of a grueling fight where it's dirty boxing, clinch work, but obviously not trying to take it to the ground or find himself in any of those exchanges. But he needs to get into that boxing range and avoid those kicks. I don't think he's going to do too much damage from that range himself. But inside that boxing range, I think that the clinch work, some elbows, all that dirty stuff that can really help guys like Brian Kelleher, take over fights over 3 rounds. Those are some areas he can explore. It's just the kicks for me are where I think Umar can really just separate himself. He's going to find areas where he can be at a distance if he wants, or he can take it to the ground when he needs to. And I don't think he's going to be worried about the guillotines or the chokes that we've seen from Brian Kelleher. I think he's going to be able to grapple with him for most of that fight. And so I've got Umar as a minus 290. I think that he's going to be one of the biggest favorites on this card. It's really hard for me to see that wouldn't be the case. Again, quality of opponent, the way we've seen Brian Kelleher fight, there might be that puncher's chance, that kind of thing. But you have to love what you see at Umar. So I'm going to go minus 290. I mean, you got to love watching Javier and Khabib just, maybe stay at ringside and then sneak to the back and come out with Umar right after they just, came out with Tagir. But it's going to be really fun to watch. Maybe they're out of breath the whole time, but we'll see how it goes. Minus 290. Umar, let's take a look. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you caught Umar Nurmagomedov at minus 275, congratulations, because now the line is sitting as high as minus 750. Incredible. That's a massive jump. I can't believe that. Minus 275. I mean, even that, it lines up with what we thought it would be around that minus 290 mark, but good Lord, I mean, that's a massive, massive jump for Umar, and you have to say, people very much agree with the notion that he looks like that different breed, man. And for me, it's the striking. So while I'm shocked by the jump, I mean, it's not hard for me to see that that's the level of favorite that we're dealing with going into the next set of prelims for UFC 272.